Adam, right?
I got me a few more days, exactly.
All right. Well, it's good. How have you been?
All right.
I've got something for you out in the car.
What is this? Should I be nervous about this?
No, it's a delicious fresh picked apple from an apple orchard I picked up this last weekend. There you go. It's going to be one of the sweet tangos. I'll try because I left it out in the car. I don't want to get it too hot. It was a nice, cool, delicious apple here when I pulled it out of the fridge, ready for you to eat. My own hand picking this luscious fruit from a tree for you. Do you like apples or no? Not really.
If they're hand-picked, I like apples, absolutely, yeah. Now that you said you just used your bare hand, I'll be putting a little hand sanitizer on my phone.
I washed it. I thought you were about to say hand-pick's the only way I like them. I was like, sure thing, Caligula. All right, nicely done. I have a lot of negative things to get to today. But if you have followed my show at all in the last 15, 16 years, I have been doing this. If you have followed my career, if you know who I am, are you ready for this? There is one thing that makes me happy. Brett, hit it. Yes! Well, actually, my kids make me happy. My wife makes me happy. My dog's pretty good, too. But Rush, yes! Go, keep playing that. Just keep playing this beautiful goal from the guys in Toronto. Love this. There is a method to my madness because I'm a happy boy today. Geddy Lee, Alex Lifeson, and the late Neil Peart. One of the great, if not the greatest, 3-member rock band of all time from the beautiful country of Canada. Love you guys up there. Try the Syrup. This off their Moving Pictures album from 1981. Where they busted through and all of a sudden became an arena rock band. But they have been okay. You can pot it down. They have been. This is all about me right now. This is just about me. And any other Rush fan that's out there. They are one of the most unique bands. I don't know if you ever caught and read the article when they got the cover of Rolling Stone finally. And they were saying they're one of the few bands that's out there. I mean, if you're a band like Journey or Styx or Foreigner, you basically can't play the new stuff. You have to play your classics, and that's it. These guys, whenever they put out a new album, and whether that was Clockwork Angels or Snakes and Arrows or Vapor Trails, their latter albums, they basically, I want to hear those songs just as much as the other guy. Anyway, needless to say, I don't know if you remember Neil Peart, who many people consider to be the greatest drummer in rock history. And he passed away, about 10 years ago or so. And I was heartbroken because that was it. I thought they weren't going to go on tour anymore. And you got just a little clue about why. Maddie happy right now. Yesterday, and just to tell you how much I am on Rush social media pages, this was like 5 minutes after they posted it. It came up on two of my social media pages. Geddy Lee and Alex Lifeson, the 2 remaining members of the band, they've been playing together, just getting together and playing music just to keep doing it. And there was Tyler Hawkins was the drummer for Foo Fighters who passed away tragically. They did some benefit concerts for him, and one of the people they met during that was Paul McCartney. Paul McCartney and Geddy Lee had a little conversation, and Paul McCartney says, this is, of course, after Neil Peart had died. He said, you guys are musicians. You need to go play. That's what you do. That's what we are, is we're musicians. We play music. And I guess that must have impacted them because they started playing music again. Now, they ran into a drummer. This is a woman from Germany who played with Jeff Beck. And apparently, they were like, oh, no, you need to hear her. She is of the ilk of Neil Peart. You need to listen to her and play. And they did. And apparently they've been playing together and practicing. And Rush is going back out on tour. Yes. Yes. Los Angeles, Mexico. Let's see if I can remember them all. Los Angeles, Mexico City, Dallas, Chicago, I believe New York, Toronto, as well. And there's probably someone else in there I'm missing. but not Minneapolis, where I'm at right now.
Well, I do smell a possible road trip to Chicago, though.
Oh,
yes.
no, I've already got this. I'm signed up for the early tickets. If I can get tickets to this, I'm going in a heartbeat because I have missed them so much. I remember, and I know this is, yeah. I remember being a kid, I think it was like 1980, and I was living in Wickford, Rhode Island, or excuse me, Wickford, Rhode Island. It's wicked cool. Yeah, it is. Anyway, I was living in Wickford. Wicked Wetford. Sorry. Down by the harbor. I was living in Wickford, Rhode Island, and my friend Jamie Rademacher invited me over, said, you got to hear something. And I believe that was the album that had Spirit of Radio on it and stuff, Permanent Waves. And I was listening to this, and it blew my mind. Now, this is a kind of at that point when I'm a kid, and I am like, oh my God, I'm starting to break away from, my parents listening to Debbie Boone and crap like that. Although to give my parents credit, my parents actually listened to a lot of really good music. My mom was a Stones fan. My dad loved Willie Nelson, Roy Orbison. And he even had a lot of throwbacks. He was a fan of the Moody Blues too. It's kind of George Thorogood. So I listened to a lot of blues, a lot of kind of Rolling Stone-esque rock growing up. But this was my first sojourn into my own music. And Rademacher at that point, he was so impressed with Permanent Waves. He went back and bought all the albums that they had up until that point, and we sat, I think, for an entire Saturday and just listened to Rush albums. I was done. My first concert I went to was Grace Under Pressure. I went. I've seen them not only here. I've seen them in multiple cities. I've seen them in Nuremberg, Germany. I saw Presto in Nuremberg, Germany. My wife surprised the living daylights out of me because I had just moved. I started my radio career in Beloit, Wisconsin, the mighty WGEZ, or as I like to call it, Woodgees. That was a fun station.
I take it they didn't let you call it that on air, did they?
I don't even know if that radio station still exists anymore. It was not exactly the best run radio station. But I say it like this: you come out of school with this rosy colored idea of how the world's supposed to work, and then all of a sudden it just grind that right out of you, pick your face right into the asphalt. Anyway, but no, I enjoyed that time in Beloit, Wisconsin. And I worked down there, and that's where I actually met my wife. And she surprised the living daylights out of me because I was so bummed about I was not going to be able to afford to go see Counterparts, which came into Madison, Wisconsin, and we drove up and we caught Counterparts in Madison. So, yeah. I remember I saw the Time Machine tour over at the Minnesota State Fair, which was crazy. And there was a dude next to me so drunken out of it. He was treating Rush like it was a thrash metal band. He was not doing well. Still didn't take away from the fact that was a quality album, and they played the entire Moving Pictures album the entire way through. You're getting this. I know. You're looking at me and saying, Matt, I listened to you to be the snarkiest radio host from the left we've ever seen. I get this. But this is one for me because I wasn't expecting this. I thought my days of this were over. Every once in a while, I'll take one of their live shows on DVD I have at home, which I have all of them, and I will watch one and I'll almost tear up because I will miss them. If you want to see, I think, the consummate behind the scenes of a band movie, Beyond the Lighted Stage it's just an amazing movie about them and coming together and playing. It really a remarkable thing. And yeah, I just never expected it. And they were very quick to talk about, we're going to make this about a tribute to Neil, and that because you should make it a tribute to Neil. And yeah, so I'm looking forward to it. Yes, Chicago, it's July of next year. I wouldn't. Mexico City would be kind of fun, man. I mean, go see Rush in Mexico City. That might be really cool. But yeah, I'm going to try to go down there. So I might be down in Chicago in July.
Oh, that sounds like a perfect road trip, middle of the summer.
So I mean, I know you're the Oak Ridge boys, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Elvira, same thing, man. No, but is there a band like that for you that just is, nope, must see, Can't
Not
miss
really
it.
that I could think of, that I'd be traveling that much for. So
So upset. One of my good friends, the guy I know in San Francisco, a friend named Sean, he is out there. He was at the last show in Los Angeles. That was where they ended their last tour, was in Los Angeles.
Ooh.
And he was there. I'm like, what? Why didn't you tell me? I would have gone to LA and seen that show. I would have gone to LA. I mean, I know I'm only about 1 million of us in this country that would have done that, but in a heartbeat. I mean, I would go to concerts. I would just go to concerts to see them, and I'd meet people that was their 12th, 14th, 20th show on that tour. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get tickets. I'm hoping I can get tickets.
Yeah, you got to be early to that, or you're going to be paying a lot of money to scalpers, unfortunately.
How many organs will I have to sell for this show? I mean, it's not going to be one. I can already tell you that. I'm trying to, all right, I'm going to be honest with you. The liver and the kidneys, okay, they've seen better days. I can get those probably for bargain basement prices, but I'm going to have to let go a good one here. How much does a lobe of a lung go for nowadays? Will that get me front row?
It might. You might have to do a limb as well. Maybe throw whichever arm or leg you don't like the best.
Snakes and Arrows. I caught that tour. I at the last second, because I had kids at this time and I was trying to be responsible, and it really kind of upset me. At Snakes and Arrows, at the last second, my wife said, "Hey, you should be able to go." And so I got a ticket. There was one solo ticket in front of Alex on his side of the stage. That was brilliant. I think it was row 8 for that show. That was amazing. Oh, looking forward to it. You see, this country is definitely on the slip and slide to hell. But if I can find something that, at least for me, makes me, yes, nicely done. If this little thing can bring me joy and happiness, you know what? Trump's not going to win today. He's not going to win today, and sure as heck's not going to win tomorrow either. Yeah, nicely done. We'll take a break. Come on back. We'll get into real stuff. It's the Matt McNeil Show.
Hi, it's Mitch, owner of Junk Masters. Spring's the perfect time to get your space back and clear out those unwanted items. The best part? Just show us what goes. We are local and independent, just like AM 950. We provide residential and commercial services. Our landfill diversion program includes donating, recycling, and leveraging waste to energy whenever possible. You don't have to worry about a thing. We do all the work for you. Contact us for a free quote. There's no obligation. Visit junkmastersmn.com to get started today.
Twin Cities Con returns to the Minneapolis Convention Center for their 5th year, November 7th through the 9th. Twin Cities Con is a celebration of comics, toys, TV, film, art, cosplay, games, and all things nerdy. There's nothing like Twin Cities Con. It's also a family-friendly event where you can meet your favorite celebrities, browse the vendor hall and artist alley for the coolest merch, watch celebrity Q&As, and even more. Twin Cities Con is bigger and better than before. Come see from the Star Wars universe Ahmad Best, Rosario Dawson and Giancarlo Esposito, Brendan Fraser, and the cast of The Mummy, WWE Wrestling Hall of Famers Sting and Mick Foley, and the voice actors from the hit Disney series Phineas and Ferb, plus more guests to be announced. 3 days of action-packed fun in the heart of Minneapolis at the Minneapolis Convention Center. Tickets start at $50. Kids tickets are just $10 for the entire weekend. VIP tickets also available, including a 3-day weekend pass, plus some really cool VIP perks. More guests will be announced. Buy your tickets and get more information at TwinCitiesCon.com.
Hey, it's Patrick for Zero Res. October is here, so Halloween is right around the corner. And if you're thinking of having a horror movie marathon with friends, you better make sure your home doesn't look like something out of one of those movies. Don't ghost your carpet this fall. My cleaning heroes at Zero Res can help get all those spooky smells and creepy stains out of your home. Carpet, tile, rugs, upholstery, hardwood, any surface in your home can be Zero Resified. Right now, you can get your entire home Zero Resified from Minnesota's ultimate carpet cleaner, with 3 rooms of carpet clean starting at just $129. But there's something even scarier than ghosts and goblins hiding in your home, and it's in your air ducts. This month, take 15% off your air duct and dryer vent cleaning service. Don't let a missed deal haunt you. Call 9520-RES or go to ZeroResMinnesota.com today and ask for the AM 950 special. Backward or forward spells the same. Zero Res.
Hello? My name is Paul Sheldon. I'm a novelist. My #1 super fan, Annie Wilkes, has me trapped in her house. I need you to come to the Yellow Tree Theater in Osseo, September 26th to October 19th, to get me out. YellowTreeTheater.com. It's misery. Please don't come alone. Hurry, she's coming.
Yes. It is the Matt McNeil Show. 952-946-6205. 952-946-6205. Brett, feel free to continue with the Rush music the entire show if you feel that will make me a happy boy, and enjoy that apple. I have rewarded you like I would reward a horse.
That's the only reason I'm playing Rush the rest of the hour. And
hey, you do this, I got another apple for you tomorrow. All right. 952-946-6205. 952-946-6205. In case you missed it, Pam Bondi. I want to stop and just take a second here. The worst attorney general in the history of this country, Pam Bondi, apparently spent extensive time over the last few weeks practicing her zingers against the Democratic senators in the Senate committee hearing she had to go to today, and was just outright belligerent at times. It did not go well. I know that for the right-wing news outlets, it's going to be like, oh, look at her, she put them in her place. I think pretty much most of the people I know who are kind of neutral thought she came off as kind of a jackass today. But that's the worst attorney general in the history of the United States, Pam Bondi. She refused to answer whether Donald Trump directed prosecutions of his enemies, and seemed unable to answer how many undocumented immigrants are in Chicago, or whether it's a sanctuary city, during her first oversight hearing since taking office as the nation's top law enforcement official. A combative Bondi, who, by the way, I want to make sure is doing only what Donald Trump tells her to do, and that's it, repeatedly refused to answer. And by the way, she's also, that is like the freaking portrait of Dorian Gray. She is aging and fast. I mean, she's starting to look like some, a woman in a Florida trailer park that smokes a pack of heaters a day. I mean, she's really starting to, it's not going well. A combative Bondi repeatedly refused to answer Senate Judiciary Committee questions throughout the hearing, including her decision to drop the investigation of Trump border czar Tom Homan, and the forced resignation of the U.S. Attorney in Virginia, where FBI Director James Comey became one of the largest targets of Trump's retribution campaign. Bondi also defended her refusal to publicly release the case files involving Trump ally and convicted sex offender and Trump BFF Jeffrey Epstein, and declined to answer whether the FBI discovered photographs of Trump with half-naked women, allegations that Bondi claimed salacious and designed to slander the president. But she didn't say they didn't exist. Once again, I want to remind people with Epstein, apparently Vance and Bondi and the White House chief of staff, and I can't remember her name, they had emergency meetings where they were sitting down discussing how they deal with the Trump thing, with the Epstein thing. That is not nothing. If there was nothing there wouldn't be frantic emergency meetings between Pam Bondi, the vice president, and the White House chief of staff. She also repeatedly leaned into personal zingers of Democratic senators during Tuesday's testimony. In any point in this country's history, if any attorney general had done and had the attitude she had, even the party that had that attorney general would have asked them to resign at this point. This was an embarrassment. This was the equivalent of some kid trying to trash talk somebody else badly at like a high school basketball game. I mean, it really was unfortunate. She also said someone suggested a senator could be a member of Antifa. And I would, if she would call me that, I said, yeah, I'm against fascists. Aren't you against fascists? Oh, I guess not, since you bow down to the fascist president. Asked by the committee's top Democratic Dick Durbin whether the White House consulted with her before the president deployed the National Guard to American cities, Bondi's wife said she would not discuss such conversations with the panel. It's my job to grill you, Durbin said. Investigating your agency is part of my responsibility on the committee. You may not like the experience, but you others have weathered the storm. They answered questions in a respectful manner. Bondi defended the Justice Department's refusal to release additional Epstein materials after she stated in February the files were sitting on my desk. I said it was sitting on my desk along with other files. Our memo on Epstein clearly points out there was no client list. So basically, they got him to admit the one thing that really made a lot of MAGA mad was indeed that's now their official stance. Durbin also, and by the way, and we already know that that's not true because we released more information saying that there was, the Peter Thiel was in those files, that Prince Andrew was in those files, Elon Musk is in those files. So Durbin was asked about reports that the FBI was ordered to flag any Epstein-related records, which Trump's name was included. Now, a reminder that was a whistleblower had come to Durbin and said, "Oh, we're basically being required to go through every file and redact Trump's name anytime we can." I'm not going to discuss anything about that with you, she said. She tried to put down the Adam Schiff with, "Do you have a law degree?" Unfortunately, to Verlandi, the intended slight failed, as indeed he does, from Harvard Law School. She went to Stetson University. Harvard Law is the sixth best law college in the country, according to U.S. News and World Report. And the mighty Stetson University, basically, which, not exactly the best, is ranked 99th. And by the way, not only did she go to Stetson University, she clearly was one of the worst lawyers that Stetson University ever put out, because she is the worst attorney general in the history of this country. Basically, she was asking if Holman took the money. She refused to answer that question, and then basically said, "I'm trying to protect Chicago," which she's not. She's trying to basically go beat and arrest minorities in Chicago. That's what she wants to do. But I mean, and for a racist that likes to burn crosses, maybe that's what she is a racist that likes to burn crosses. That might be looked at as trying to protect Chicago. White House, the Democrat from Rhode Island, said he's repeatedly asked the U.S. Marshal Service, which handles security for judges, to acknowledge that whether they're being inhibited from investigating whether or not there's been an orchestration of threats against federal judges, whether under conspiracy laws or racketeering enterprise laws or aiding or abetting laws. There's a person who says the threat, and then there's there may be someone orchestrating the threat behind them. Is the question whether the Marshal Service is allowed to investigate the orchestration of the threats, said White House. That was at the end of her testimony. She wanted to come back, and you see, White House laid a trap for her. May I answer the question, she asked Grassley. The time has expired. White House noted the rule is that once again the question is asked, the witness can respond. "I'm asking the chairman," Bondi said. "Sure thing, Karen." Ultimately, Grassley allowed her to go forward. "Senator Whitehouse, I'd be happy to sit down with you in regarding any threat to any federal judge in this country. We take threats very seriously. I will set a meeting with you and Director Siralta of the U.S. Marshals, and we'll talk about the threats to federal judges." White House spoke over, including orchestrating them, who threatened them or who orchestrated them. Bondi agreed? Good. Bingo. Thank you, White House said. What Bondi apparently then has agreed to is to discuss the comments from President Trump on staff on others on the right that could have inspired attacks or threats of the judiciary. She walked right into the prop of that plane. Yeah, it wasn't a good day for Pam Bondi. And like I said, I mean, she practiced. The attorney general clearly spent hours of attorney general time practicing zingers she was going to throw at Democrats and not taking this committee hearing seriously. And like I said, if at any point in the history, I mean, this is clearly obvious at this point. At any point in history, this would be the removal of Pam Bondi as the Attorney General. But Republicans, they're the enablers. Yikes! It is the Matt McNeil Show.
It's Brad Friedman, host of the Bradcast, weeknights at 7 on AM 950, KTNF, St. Louis Park, Minneapolis, St. Paul, the progressive voice of Minnesota.
Greg Bakken here. Like you, I love good, fresh, delicious food. So I want to tell you about this treasure in Roseville called Maverick's Real Roast Beef. Maverick's has the best roast beef sandwiches I've ever had. Made fresh every order. Add fries or onion rings dropped in the fryer when ordered, and you have a winning combination. Maverick's Real Roast Beef has a lot more than roast beef, so check out their website, mavericksbeef.com, or check out their restaurant on Lexington in Roseville.
Time is running out. Don't miss Doris Hines closes October 12th at History Theater in St. Paul. This electrifying world premiere celebrates the extraordinary life of Minneapolis jazz legend Doris Hines with her music, her courage, and her lasting influence on the Twin Cities and beyond. Through unforgettable performances and live jazz, the show honors a woman who sang with the greats and inspired generations. Seats are going fast and discounts are available for students, seniors, and veterans. Learn more at historytheater.com. That's historytheater.com.
When was the last time you had your roof inspected for extreme weather and hail damage? This is Chad, owner of AM 950, to talk about the exterior construction company I trust, Snap Construction. If you've noticed new roofing projects in your neighborhood, your home was likely hit by hail last summer and experienced damage. Snap Construction is helping homeowners like you, and they're the roofing specialists I trust. They are the most well-reviewed contractor in the Twin Cities and have a ton of positive customer reviews from homeowners just like you. Even better, Snap Construction's installations are backed by a lifetime warranty, so you know you're dealing with a qualified roofing expert. You want to work with a company that will be here for a long time after the work is done. Snap Construction has handled thousands of claims and will help you through the process. Do yourself a favor and get a free roofing inspection so you have the facts and peace of mind you deserve. Call Snap Construction today at 612-333-SNAP. That's 612-333-SNAP. Or visit snapconstruction.com.
ATNFAM 950 St. Louis Park, Minneapolis, St. Paul.
Turn to Auto Technical with your vehicle donation. Even though Auto Technical is a small nonprofit, we have helped more families with transportation than any organization in Minnesota. Since '94, we have reconditioned donated vehicles so they have a higher tax benefit. Call Richard at 612-919-5526. 612-919-5526 or autotech.org.
With your AM 950 weather, I'm Brett Johnson. Look for sunny skies today with a high near 64, tonight clear with a low around 39, and Wednesday sunny with a high around 65. Crooners is your go-to classic supper club, offering world-class entertainment and 4-star dining. Catch top artists in the main stage showroom, Dunsmore Jazz Room, or outdoors at the Belvedere under the stars. Or stop by Maggie's Lounge where there's no cover and no reservations. Visit croonersmn.com for details.
Broadcasting in the evenings on WCPT 820 Chicago's Progressive Talk. In the nighttime hours in Seattle, 1150 AM KKNW. And, of course, in Minneapolis, St. Paul on AM 950, the Progressive Voice of Minnesota. It is the Matt McNeil Show. Just the bumper music alone should get me an affiliate in Toronto, shouldn't it? I mean, I'd be all over that action.
Oh, internationally broadcasting. I like that.
Not against it. You can put me late at night. I'll be fine with that. And trust me, I love Canada. Canada is a great place. And, I'm on Team Canada versus Team Orange Blob. 952-946-6205. 952-946-6205. Yeah, it's days like this that this is really hard to watch, because this is, the Republicans have fixed the system where they're basically going after all their great white whales, all their windmills. They're going after them. And they're looking like they're going to succeed. The U.S. Supreme Court appeared ready to rule against a Colorado law that bans conversion therapy, practices that seek to change the minor's sexual orientation or gender ideology, repeatedly questioning the state over whether the law hindered free speech and whether these practices have been proven harmful. Now, I want to make sure we understand and I'll just bare bones this for you. What Republicans are trying to do is, whether or not that's because they're trying to deal and wrestle with their own internal monologue, or because they've been brainwashed by a religious mindset which just doesn't exist, or they're just a bunch of evil freaking jackasses. They feel as if the LGBTQIA community coming to terms with who they are and being who they are is horrible. And they feel as if people being tolerant of that are the real villain. And to stop this, they want to take children, lock them in a cell, scream at them, and torture them until they say what they want them to say. It is truly one of the most barbaric things that was legal in a lot of places and it still is legal in some places, legal in this day and age. I mean, it's bizarre that we would look at something like this, that we would allow people to basically hold a child against their will and scream at them and torture them until they say, oh, I guess I'm not gay anymore because reasons. That is not how human beings should be treating human beings. And once again, one of the main tent poles of modern MAGA is that there are second-tier class of human beings. And we should never allow that. We should never allow for a humane society to ever dictate there are second-tier class of humans. We have had this happen in the past, and it has gone badly. But yet there are people out there who, in my personal opinion, horrifically abuse Christianity and the teachings of Jesus to turn them into this hate-riddled monstrosity that Jesus was never for. Jesus was welcoming, love, compassion. You want to throw Paul's letters to the Romans or Thessalonians, or you want to go get a Leviticus. You want to, you go to any of these Bible passages that these hate merchants like to pitch. And one of the things that they don't want to talk about is Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. Welcome in the stranger. Don't be a jackass. I mean, how about we boil it down to one thing? That's the direct teachings from Christ. And in case you missed it, the first 6 letters of Christian are about Christ. So what he said should matter to you if you're a real Christian. You are only going down the same path that horrible people have done for millennia, using a religion to basically justify your personal hatreds of certain peoples. And you will not, trust me, if you truly do believe that there is an afterlife after you pass away, it's not going to be a happy one for you. What was that about? Basically persecuting people and locking young children in rooms and screaming at them? I make 10% of the population gay. I mean, why were you against that? Oh, I didn't realize that. I thought it was bad and icky and I didn't like it. So you got to let me in. Nope. Enjoy the other place. Have a great time. As a matter of fact, the irony of it, they're going to lock you probably not. Never mind. It will be a surprise. It will be a surprise. To watch so many people so eagerly say, nope, we should be able to, whether that's target Hispanic people because they're Hispanic, or abuse people because they're black, or dishonor and discredit people because they're Native Americans. Whatever the case may be, this is the new normal. And at the end of the day, MAGA didn't vote to have their health care. They were stupid idiots. I mean, he said he was going to raise their health care prices. They were stupid idiots. He said that we were going to get rid of all your trade markets, and so all the farmers are going to be screwed over. He said he was going to do this. He voted for that. But what you really did vote for was this. I want you to hurt those people. I'm evil. And then you'll say, Jeebus. And I don't have much time for you. This is truly evil stuff. And once again, this conversion therapy stuff is the stuff of evil incarnate. The high-stakes case could roll back the rights of LGBTQ youth across the country. Colorado is one of more than 20 states in the U.S. that have banned conversion practices, and the ruling in favor of the Alliance Defending Freedom, a Christian legal group, could make those laws vulnerable to criminal charges. Once again, it has nothing to do with the law. What they've done is they've placed Supreme Court justices that will ignore the law and basically do what the people who are bankrolling them, giving them RVs, 5-star vacations, bankrolling their family's employment, they'll give them basically whatever they want. And they just have to basically rule the way that the bigots are telling them to. In Childs versus Saladar, ADF is representing a woman who objected to a 2019 Colorado law banning conversion practices for youth under 18. Once again, isn't it funny is that it's I find it hilarious that Republicans constantly say, we have to protect the children, get those books off the shelf in the library. They're just children. Well, I want to lock one into a room and scream at them until they and torture them until they say that they're straight. Well, you should be able to do that, but they shouldn't be able to read a book until while they're in there. The law applies to licensed mental health clinicians who seek to change a patient's gender identity or sexual orientation, discredited tactics that major medical associations have said are ineffective and harmful. The conservative justices repeatedly questioned whether the law was unconstitutional regulation of speech and whether the conversion practices for questioning were harmful enough to constitute banning them. Yes, they are. And it should also be noted that we basically have that you can't yell fire in a movie theater, because it's, even though that's freedom of speech, it's detrimental to the people. And what they're saying is, nope, you can do this to the LGBTQ population. You can torture them. That's what you can do. At times, the liberal justices sought to understand the state's interpretation of the law as well, although they could not. They also noted how the state had not disciplined anyone over violations of the statute. The ADF, a conservative organization behind major anti-abortion and anti-LGBTQ cases, is represented Kaylee Childs, boo, a licensed Colorado counselor who is a Christian and contends the ban violates her First Amendment rights to discuss her faith with patients. Her petition, Colorado's lawyer agrees, is based on a hypothetical infringement of her free speech, not the state, since the state has not disciplined her. ADF says Childs has begun censoring herself with her clients due to the fear of the law, and their 2020 lawsuit against the ban was pre-enforcement challenge. And oral arguments began on Tuesday. The liberal justices questioned how Child's therapy is affected by the law and how she is harmed by the law, despite not being able to subject to enforcement actions. Jim Campbell, the Alliance's chief legal counsel, told the justices that the state was investigating complaints against Childs. She described the therapy she provides as helping clients when their goals are to resolve gender dysphoria by getting comfortable with their body and realigning their identity with their sex. And she says, helps them if they're experiencing unwanted same-sex attraction, if their goal is to reduce it. You know, torture. Well, I mean, that's, I don't think that's too hard to when you take somebody and you say, hey, your eyes aren't blue, they're hazel. No, my eyes are blue. No, they're not, they're hazel. No, my eyes are blue. You're hazel. And until you come and say they're hazel, we're not letting you out of this room. Yeah. There's an ongoing harm every day, Campbell says. Miss Childs is being silenced, and the kids and families who want to help her are unable to access it. Now, mind you, she could move to another state, which still does allow this atrocious behavior, but no, this is just a setup lawsuit. As a matter of fact, it is completely a setup lawsuit. The group fighting to protect so-called conversion therapy at the U.S. Supreme Court has been accused of misrepresenting its evidence by the very researchers it cites. The Alliance Defending Freedom, a conservative Christian legal advocacy group that has played a pivotal role in several court cases involving abortion access and LGBTQ rights, will argue before the nation's high court that justices should strike down the state law banning conversion therapy for minors. The group cites a 2016 study by Lisa Diamond and Clifford Roski, who have since condemned the ADF for profoundly misrepresenting their findings. It's deceptive, Roski recently told The Guardian. Lawyers owe a duty of candor to the court. You cannot offer false evidence, and if you do, you so accidentally and find out, you have to correct that. And the ADF doesn't do this. This is the craziest part about this. At any other time in the history of this country, I mean, even during maybe not the Dred Scott years, the pre-Civil War years, but the Supreme Court, if they found out that someone intentionally misrepresented their evidence to basically try to omitting facts, omitting the truth, or just basically making up diagnosis from a medical file that basically just it suits their argument, there would be hell to pay. And this is at least the 10th or 11th case the Supreme Court has had where the people who are bringing the case are outright lying. And they're basically being they're deceptive intentionally. And yeah, that there are zero consequences because Alito, Thomas, the two biggest hacks of all time, Gorsuch, not far behind, Barrett, Kavanaugh, and Roberts, they're all being told how to rule. I mean, for goodness sakes, I mean, we now know Alito has been in touch with the White House on a regular basis, which is wildly inappropriate. So, yeah. It's deceptive, Roski wrote The Guardian. Lawyers owe a duty of candor to the court. You cannot offer false evidence. When you do so accidentally and find out, you have to correct that. They claim that our work supports conversion therapy when our work clearly and specifically condemns conversion therapy on the same page they are actually citing. The ADF included in its arguments a section of the paper that states sexual orientation changes for many people. Respected researchers of LGBTQ issues have long observed that longitudinal population-based studies show changes in same-sex attractions in some individuals over time. However, the ADF left out the information stating that change that occurs outside of the context of conversion therapy. The ADF failed to include any information about the paper that demonstrated conversion therapy is not only ineffective in changing sexual orientation, but psychologically damaging, often resulted in elevated rates of depression, anxiety, and suicide. The thesis of the project is the whole report. So that was the whole point. It was saying that conversion therapy leads to more depression, more anxiety, more suicides. And this group took all that out of there, found one statement that was the half truth and presented that as fact. And that Supreme Court is actually pursuing that. Now, granted, I would be surprised that the defense witnesses in the case don't bring up the whole report and actually bring in the researchers to say, no, these people are misrepresenting what we're saying. But I don't even know if the Supreme Court would allow them to do this. This is all made up fantasy world stuff. They're basically, the ADF has been designated a hate group by the Southern Poverty Law Center and has been involved with several Supreme Court cases that have basically given it that hate group moniker. And clearly they seem to, yeah. I have more on this in the next hour. There's a local story in the Twin Cities I'm going to touch on here coming up a little bit later on, so make sure you're here for that. We'll take a break, come back. It is the Matt McNeil Show.
At Schroman Law, we provide more than just legal documents. We walk alongside our clients to ensure their wishes and legacies are being honored with every choice. And we do this while recognizing that this process can be emotional and weighty. Our team includes attorneys, as well as a grief coach and a published writer ready to assist with legacy letters and extra wishes to go alongside your healthcare directive. Contact us today to learn more at schromenlaw.com. That's SCHROMEN law.com.
Hey, it's Patrick for Zero Res. October is here, so Halloween is right around the corner. And if you're thinking of having a horror movie marathon with friends, you better make sure your home doesn't look like something out of one of those movies. Don't ghost your carpet this fall. My cleaning heroes at Zero Res can help get all those spooky smells and creepy stains out of your home. Carpet, tile, rugs, upholstery, hardwood, any surface in your home can be Zero Resified. Right now, you can get your entire home Zero Resified from Minnesota's ultimate carpet cleaner, with 3 rooms of carpet clean starting at just $129. But there's something even scarier than ghosts and goblins hiding in your home, and it's in your air ducts. This month, take 15% off your air duct and dryer vent cleaning service. Don't let a missed deal haunt you. Call 9520-RES or go to ZeroResMinnesota.com today and ask for the AM 950 special. Backward or forward spells the same. Zero Res.
Would you let animals pick your insurance? Do you really need to experience mayhem to get the best rates? Or how about a celebrity quarterback or fake university saving you money? There's a lot of marketing stunts when it comes to insurance, but what you really need is someone looking out for you. Call Array Insurance, and they will work hard to find you the best insurance coverage and rates. So avoid gimmicks and call Cheryl at Array, 763-504-3067, or ArrayInsurance.com. Array Insurance, working hard for you.
Hi, I'm Scott Shambot from Shambot Family Dentistry. We're the fear-free, shame-free dental office. We know dental anxiety and dental phobia are real. We'll take the time to get to know you and give you what you need to be comfortable at all times. We offer free nitrous oxide laughing gas and have high-tech options to help you feel calm and relaxed during your appointments. We'll help you get through every appointment in the most pain-free way possible. If you're having a dental emergency, we'll try and get you in the same day you call because we don't like to see anyone in pain. As my daughter Rachel says,
if you don't see my dad, please see another dentist. Take care of your teeth because they're the only ones you get.
This is Chad, owner of AM 950. I've been going to Shamblat Family Dentistry for years. They get me in last minute when I'm in pain and make regular checkups easy and comfortable.
Shamblat Family Dentistry in Hopkins and St. Paul. Find them online at shamblatfamilydentistry.com or call 1-800-FIX-MY-TEETH.
It is the Matt McNeil Show. 952-946-6205, 952-946-6205. Yeah, so you know how I've been talking a little bit about the economic iceberg that's heading towards all our money. Yeah, I know. Hey, I'm very concerned that this month we're going to see a drop. And once again, can I just tell you how many? Okay, so there has been this thing I've just said that it doesn't make any sense. The stock market, I mean, there is really bad news every single day that should warrant the stock market reversing, and it's not. And it's basically the stock market is being fueled by people supporting the AI industry, and also, you know, the crypto dudes who basically, you know, that when that crashes, that's going to be spectacular. I mean, there's going to be so many, you know, 27-year-old white male jerks who basically are, dude, man, what do you mean I just lost everything? That was going to be my entire savings. Yeah. Maybe I need to go throw another sex toy onto a WNBA court. Exactly. That's the world we live in. There it is. The markets keep going up. I've seen multiple very smart investment people who have said, okay, the AI industry is a bubble right now. The AI industry is a major bubble right now, and it is going to send everything down in a crashing, burning mess. And I've actually been saying this on the record here since April. And I've had plenty of people say, oh, but you're wrong. I hope I'm wrong. I hope I am wrong because I don't want to see my investments, my retirement account get torpedoed. I don't want to see everyone else's because it's going to get ugly. But I think it is. And today, more signs. Gold prices hit $4,000 for the first time Tuesday as investors seek a safe haven from the weaker dollar. The dollar is a mess. Geopolitical volatility, economic uncertainty, and stubborn inflation. Bond market is not exactly either a safe haven anymore. So they're going into gold because nothing says safety more than, hey, what was the stuff the ancient Egyptians liked? Oh, that's right, gold. We'll go back to that. Gold futures hit a record in intraday trading high, $4,014.60 per ounce. Prices have gained more than 50% this year as the U.S. dollar index has dropped 10%. The Trump upends the global trade system and threatens an independence of Federal Reserve. This is what happens. I kind of joking about that whole thing. They go back to the wealth of the ancients, but that's it. There's a reason why that is the safest of safe havens is because I've got an ounce of gold. And as long as it's priced at a certain point, there you go. Central banks and retail investors are buying a lot of the gold, and yeah, I'm very concerned. They're buying at a rapid pace, which really is not good. When central banks and major investing companies are buying gold up massively, China, other countries are diversifying away from U.S. treasuries and getting the gold after Washington imposed stiff sanctions on Russia over its invasion of Ukraine. Retail investors are looking to protect against inflation. The last leg higher in the precious metal came after the Fed cut interest rates in September for the first time this year, making short-term debt instruments like bills less attractive to investors. The market is expected to have two more reductions in the funds, now 4% to 4.25% before the end of the year. So gold, that's a bad sign. When gold goes up in price, that is the wealthiest of wealthy are looking for a place to put their money and weather the storm. The other thing is real estate investors, and this is another, I think this is even more dangerous, frankly, for large investment groups. Real estate investors, both individual and institutional, brought 1/3 of all single-family residential properties sold in the second quarter of 2025. That's an increase of 27% in the first quarter, the highest percentage in the last 5 years. According to the report, a real estate data provider, investors accounted for 25.7% of residential home sales in 2024. So this is a third now of all home sales are either individual investors, and it can be an individual investor, but that's still someone that could own 20 pieces of property, or it's a large corporate investor. While the shares of sales is higher, the raw numbers are lower. Investors in the second quarter of this year bought 1,600 fewer homes than a year ago, but home sales overall were much weaker than this year than last year. So more good news. That accounts for the gain in the investor share. Investors continue to own about 20% of the $68 million single-family homes in the country. So 1/20th, or excuse me, 1/5, 20%, 1/5 of all the homes in this country are owned by investment people. Here is why this is bad. If you are an individual, you homeowner, you're not using it as an investment, you're using it as a place to live. Well, the market goes down. You decide, you know what? I'm not going to move. I'm not going to take a loss on my house. I'll just stay here and we'll weather the storm and you're fine. That's not how the investment guys work. And we saw this in 2018. And this led to, I don't know if you heard, a pretty bad market. When they have large scale investment in real estate and they're trying to basically unload it, they're not looking to go neighborhood to neighborhood to basically unload a certain thing. They're just basically looking to get rid of it, which drops the price, which means the people that do have to sell their house now all of a sudden have to compete with some investment banker in New York who doesn't really know the market, but basically said, okay, we'll just cut the price down to this. And then all of a sudden your price is cut because they have to unload this. And houses are not something that really are a good, solid investment because there's basic maintenance, whether that's just mowing the lawn or making sure the plumbing and the electricity still work in the house. You have to do those things. There's a house that was foreclosed on in my neighborhood back in 2008. It is still empty today. It's a lovely house, too. It's a shame. It was once one of the prettiest houses in the neighborhood. It's been sitting empty for almost 20 years now. And but the house, the bank that owns it or whoever owns it has to come in every once in a while and turn on the power and turn on the water, make sure it's all working. These two things are really, really big red flags. Is that houses are being bought by investment companies and gold is skyrocketing because and on top of the other people, the investors who are saying, yeah, the AI market is grossly inflated. It's a major bubble. I wish I was going to be wrong. I still think that sometime this month, things are going to go bad and go bad real quick. Chicago, Seattle, have a good one. We're back on a Wednesday. Minneapolis, St. Paul, hour 2 up next.
So an atheist, a Christian, and a Buddhist walk into a church. There's no punchline. That's just what happens every Sunday at First Unitarian Society of Minneapolis. It's all the thoughtful reflection, community, and warmth of a Sunday service without religious doctrine. Curious? Find out what we're all about. Join us for Sundays Reimagined at First Unitarian Society or live stream at firstunitarian.org. Think outside the pew.
Greg Bakken here. I've told you about the out-of-the-world roast beef sandwiches at Maverick's Real Roast Beef, but I haven't told you about their Philly steak sandwiches, turkey bacon avocado sandwich, BLT, crispy chicken, fish sandwiches, brisket, or pulled pork. Okay, you get the idea. They make a lot of delicious food to the same standard as their famous roast beef sandwiches, and now I'm starving. I'm going to go to Maverick's Real Roast Beef off Lexington and Roseville, and you need to go too. Check out their menu at mavericksbeef.com.
Come see the trained chimp. It's the Matt McNeil Show, 3 to 5 p.m. weekday afternoons, right here on AM 950 KTNF, St. Louis Park, Minneapolis, St. Paul.
AP News, I'm Ben Thomas. Congressional leaders are showing no signs of backing down on day 7 of the government shutdown. Sagar Magani had the latest.
While top Senate Republican John Thune continues blaming Democrats.
They've already voted 5 different times now to keep the government shut down.
What is John Thune
doing. House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries says Republicans keep bringing up the same bill, expecting a different result.
That's legislative insanity.
After 5 failed votes, Republicans should understand they cannot go forward unless we come to a bipartisan agreement.
Chief Senate Democrat Chuck Schumer blames House Speaker Mike Johnson, who in turn says this is entirely on Schumer's gang to end.
We are pleading with the Democrats in the Senate to do the right thing.
Sagar Meghani, Washington.
Meantime, the Trump administration's warning there's no guarantee federal workers will receive back pay once the shutdown ends.
It depends on who we're talking about. I can tell you this, the Democrats have put a lot of people in great risk and jeopardy, but it really depends on who you're talking about. But for the most part, we're going to take care of our people. There are some people that really don't deserve to be taken care of, and we'll take care of them in a different way.
National Guard troops from Texas have arrived in an Army Reserve Center in Illinois. President Trump plans to deploy them in Chicago, the governor in the city suing to stop that. The Supreme Court appears to be leaning in favor of a Christian counselor's challenge to state bans on conversion therapy. In Israel, mourning for the dead and fear for the remaining hostages as the country marked 2 years since Hamas's October 7th attack. The war that followed has killed more than 67,000 Palestinians. Peace talks underway in Egypt. Wall Street's rally lost momentum today. The S&P dropped 0.4% from its all-time high, while the Nasdaq lost 0.7. The Dow fell 92 points. And gold topped $4,000 an ounce for the first time. This is AP News.
Progressive knows owning a home can be hard, but not always. Like when you're relaxing on your patio, enjoying a nice, quiet evening. So quiet. Except for the sound of the neighbor's party. Which you said you'd go to if you weren't busy. And your quiet night on the patio, that's not exactly busy, is it? Maybe you should just stay inside. At least Progressive's Home Quote Explorer lets you easily compare rates, so shopping for insurance is the easiest part of owning a home. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and third-party insurers. Comparison rates not available in all states or situations. Prices vary based on how you buy.
While retinitis pigmentosa takes Mark's vision, his family gives him hope, whether at the family business or at home with his wife and sons. He knows he's not fighting alone. For 50 years, the Foundation Fighting Blindness has funded research into treatments and cures for blinding retinal diseases, providing hope to people with vision loss. And for Mark, winning the fight means being there for his family. The Foundation Fighting Blindness. Together, we're winning. Help us end blinding diseases at Fighting Blindness.
When was the last time you had your roof inspected for extreme weather and hail damage? This is Chad, owner of AM 950, to talk about the exterior construction company I trust, Snap Construction. If you've noticed new roofing projects in your neighborhood, your home was likely hit by hail last summer and experienced damage. Snap Construction is helping homeowners like you, and they're the roofing specialists I trust. They are the most well-reviewed contractor in the Twin Cities and have a ton of positive customer reviews from homeowners just like you. Even better, Snap Construction's installations are backed by a lifetime warranty, so you know you're dealing with a qualified roofing expert. You want to work with a company that will be here for a long time after the work is done. Snap Construction has handled thousands of claims and will help you through the process. Do yourself a favor and get a free roofing inspection so you have the facts and peace of mind you deserve. Call Snap Construction today at 612-333-SNAP. That's 612-333-SNAP. Or visit snapconstruction.com.
This season, bring the whole family to see Irving Berlin's White Christmas. This smash hit musical based on the classic film returns by popular demand to delight you at Chanhassen dinner theaters. With loads of laughter and a stunning showcase of Irving Berlin songs, White Christmas is a celebration of the romance, friendship, and magic of the holidays. Make your plans today to see White Christmas. Visit chanhassendt.com.
With your AM 950 weather, I'm Brett Johnson. Look for sunny skies today with a high near 64. Tonight, clear with a low around 39. And Wednesday, sunny with a high around 65. Crooners is your go-to classic supper club, offering world-class entertainment and 4-star dining. Catch top artists in the main stage showroom, Dunsmore Jazz Room, or outdoors at the Belvedere under the stars. Or stop by Maggie's Lounge, where there's no cover and no reservations. Visit croonersmn.com for details. Portions of the following program may be pre-recorded.
Hour number 2 of the show here on your Tuesday. Matt and Brett, nice to have you here. Have you tried the apple yet?
I have not yet, but I will be between shows. That's my little
Yeah.
snack time when I'm producing on the afternoons.
You got to watch those things. Those are fresh from a tree. They are so dang juicy. It's not even funny. You will need napkins. I had one.
That's a good sign, though.
Oh, it is.
Yes.
I mean, I don't know. When I go to the apple orchard, I don't know if I'm supposed to eat them off the tree, but I end up eating like 14 pounds of apples when I'm at an apple orchard. I mean, I just can't stop myself. They're so freaking delicious.
Well, they're apples too,
Well,
so it's not like it's bad for you.
It's if you usually go and it's like 45 degrees, so it's like chilled perfectly, and you put, oh man, and they're juicy, and it's just don't
see that 45-degree part has my attention. Yeah, getting a nice kind of cool apple like that from the that sounds good.
Well, you enjoy that. Are we going to continue with the Rush songs for the rest?
Let's make
of
hour 2 for it. Absolutely, that's exciting stuff. If they're going back on tour after saying they're largely not,
it's fantastic. Well, no, Neil Peart died, and there have been. I mean, I'll look at some of these bands. And don't get me wrong. I think some of the bands, whether they had internal conflict or people passed away and stuff like this, they still go on the tours. You know, that's one of those things. Was Randy Bachman from Bachman Turner Overdrive? He's been, touring by himself without the band for years. That's kind of one of those things. Pink Floyd had troubles like that, but the band toured together. Only after the first album they replaced John Rusty was the original drummer, and Neil Peart came on in after the first album, and they just basically it was those three guys. One thing he also had to say, and so once again, more Rush nerdy stuff. Geddy Lee in his prime would be playing the keyboards with his feet, the bass guitar with his hands, and then singing at the same time. This time, he says, unless it's one of the more iconic keyboard parts, like the beginning of Tom Sawyer we played at the beginning of the last hour, unless it's one of the more iconic keyboard parts, they're actually going to bring some other musicians with them to play some of these other things, because they do look older. He's actually been showing up a lot. He's a huge Toronto Blue Jays fan. He's like a huge Toronto Blue Jays fan. And if you do watch that documentary on the band, he has an entire segment on his massive baseball collection. He is a massive fan, and he's got Harmon Killebrew, he's got Babe Ruth, he's got all the great baseball players. He's got their autographs and stuff. You have to see it to believe it. I didn't realize he was that big of a fan.
Well, it probably put him in a better mood to set up this tour too, with the Blue Jays putting the beat down on the Yankees in the playoffs.
That's got to be. I have to imagine. I'm kind of team Toronto Blue Jays on this. I do want to see Toronto, Chicago, and the Cubbies in the World Series. I would like to see them.
For a second, I was confused. The White Sox. What are you talking about with the Cubs?
No, not the White Sox. Despise the White Sox, man. No, the Cubbies. I'm okay with the North Siders. That's for sure. But no, I think that would be a fun series. We'll see how it goes. But yeah, watching Toronto beat the living daylights out of the Yankees is kind of fun to watch. I'm hoping they could end that tonight. I believe. Isn't it a 5-game series they're in right now?
I believe so.
Yeah.
Sweep them.
Bon voyage. All right. So yesterday I talked a little bit about these people that do the Minneapolis hate porn stuff. And they put out the stuff was like, Minneapolis is horrible, you got to leave. And then I immediately followed it up with two independent studies, which showed Minneapolis is the safest city, one of the safest cities in the country. I think we were number 8, our states in the country, Minnesota, Minneapolis, St. Paul, 8 in one poll, 9 in another poll. So we did pretty well. I want to actually bring up one of these, which just was hilarious. And this is courtesy of the guys at the Racket. Do you know who John O'Sullivan is, perchance?
The name's not ringing a bell for me.
Have you ever heard of 1 Minute Tours? He does social media videos, 1 Minute Tours around Minnesota and stuff like this.
I have not, but that sounds like a cool concept.
It is. It is a real cool concept. And for the most part, and very non-political. He just had one where they've marked, and this was actually a really good one. They marked the 50-yard line over at the Mall of America where the old Met Stadium used to be, right? Where they had the home run plate and they had the red chair for Harmon Killebrew's home run, but they now put the 50-yard line, and some guy came to explain to him, that is incredibly significant because for the first time ever, the Dallas Cowboys beat the Vikings on that stadium with the Hail Mary. And Roger Staubach threw the pass, and he said, what were you thinking when you threw it? I said, I said to God, I need a Hail Mary to win this. And that's where the term came from. That originated on that site. And so it's a lovely little video vignette about it. And that's kind of the thing. It's not about politics per se. It's about history. It's about culture. It's stuff like this. It's a very good thing. 1 Minute Tours is a nice one. He hosted Alpha News's Liz Collins last month on his 1 Hour Detours YouTube show. The conversation was mostly non-confrontational for Collins' confrontation, as opposed to what Liz Collins generally kind of does there. But our guest did manage to twist herself into a ridiculous stance when presented with a real fastball. Can you name anything you like about Minneapolis? So I'm going to read this transcript here. O'Sullivan, do you like Minneapolis? Collins, I mean, of course. I mean, again, I had a house here. I worked here for 15 years. Do I like the politics of Minneapolis? Oh, no, of course not. Maybe help me understand when people talk about Minneapolis now, it becomes a political signifier if they don't live here. Almost how could it not be? Well, I mean, because it's a city, right? It's not political, whatever. It's just a city where people live and work and eat and live their lives. Collins, after my lived experience and what I've lived through, which again, I come at this obviously in a different angle than many people, it's not associate politics with Minneapolis at this point. I cannot not associate politics. O'Sullivan, can you share with me some things you like about Minneapolis? I've interviewed many people that live in Minneapolis on Alpha News. I know, but like, are there neighborhoods or things to do, things that you like about the weather, whatever? Well, I live very close to Lake Harriet. That's where my son went to Annunciation. He was a preschooler there. We were members of that Catholic church. So I really don't think that's exactly a fair question, John. What do you like about the city? And I said this yesterday. I hate Vegas. I can give you 3 things off the top of my head that I thought were fantastic about Vegas, even though I really don't like the city of Vegas. The racket goes on here. Kind of sad, a case of study what happens when the human brain marinates 24/7 inside festering swamps of right-wing propaganda. Get out there, Liz. Visit an Eat Street restaurant. Catch a T-Wolves game. Take a sunset stroll across the Stone Arch Bridge. You can escape the paranoid prison of your own mind. Somewhere down deep, the reporter who didn't understand she was interviewing Paul Westerberg outside the old Lindale Avenue Walgreens still exists. So I forgot about that. So yeah, kind of taking her to task for that. But that was what I was referring to, as well as also that garbage Coachella thing, which once again was clearly, hey, we're going to give you a bunch of money, but we want a narrative pushed, that sort of thing. You know, how many Democrats did you talk to? Oh, that's right. One other quick little thing here too, and it's kind of a sad story here. I just want to. I used to years ago do bouncing when I was in the military. I was a bouncer in bars in Germany, and it was, you kind of have a lot of rules that you don't just start pummeling on people. You don't start punching them. You get them out and you close the door, and that's just that. So I don't have a lot of patience for security people that just start pounding on people. A security guard in a bar in St. Paul is accused of punching a man who died. Jose Marquez, 28, faces 1 count of first-degree manslaughter after he'd been charged with assault before the man died of his injuries. According to the criminal complaint, a woman flagged down St. Paul police near Blue Saloon at around 2:20 a.m. on Sunday. They found a 33-year-old man slumped over inside the truck of the vehicle. The woman said he'd been unconscious for about 10 minutes after being punched by a security guard. Court documents state the man had blood coming from both nostrils and he did not appear to be breathing. He was brought to the hospital where he was diagnosed with a devastating brain bleed and died of his injuries on Monday evening. St. Paul identified him as Melvin Martinez Altamirano. The woman told police that she and Altamirano had been on their first date and that he'd gotten upset that men were hitting on her. They were kicked out of the bar. While they were leaving, the woman said the security guard told them to hurry up and hit Altamirano. He fell and hit his head on the ground, losing consciousness. A staff member of the bar identified the security guard who punched Altamirano as Marquez. Surveillance video showed Marquez stepping between the woman and the victim and punching him in the head, according to court documents. He was then seen shoving and then later punching him again, causing him to fall to the ground, according to court documents. Another security guard told police that Altamirano and the woman were both drunk and fighting. When asked to leave, Altamirano was aggressive towards security. They were able to get him outside, but the guard said Altamirano tried to push his way back in. Security tried to pepper spray him. It was ineffective. The guard said Marquez followed Altamirano and punched him in the head as he was arguing with the women. So he followed him out, even though he was leaving. He followed him out and punched him. Marquez said the bar customer alerted him to Altamirano needed to be kicked out because he was fighting with the woman. He had another security guard to try to pepper spray him. He added that Altamirano told the woman that was her fault they were getting kicked out and was verbally aggressive towards her. In court documents, Marquez said that he swung 3 punches at Altamirano, only 2 of which connected. But if he was leaving, which it sounds like he was, you can't just do that. And you killed the guy. Yeah, you broke the law. I mean, seriously. I mean, I'm kind of stunned by this, because when I did this sort of thing years ago, not recently for sure, when I did this stuff years ago, you just kind of got, what? There's a way you can grab somebody and get them. They can't move their arms. You basically take them outside, open the door, push, close the door, problem solved. If they bang on the door, you call the police, and problem solved. See, that's how it works. You don't go and start tracking them down and start punching them in the head. And regardless of whether, it was, he was being disrespectful to her. Well, that's not a death sentence, dude. And you only hit him twice. Well, one of those punches broke his brain and he bled out. Yeah, it's you have to charge this guy with a crime, because he shouldn't be out there basically pummeling. Being a bouncer in a bar, being security at a bar, does not give you authority to just start randomly following people back to their car and punching them in the head. Ugh. Yeah, that's like I said, it's just, in my days when I was doing, and I was doing it with drunk GIs, man. I mean, that was how I made some extra money. I on Fridays and Saturdays, some of the bars in Nuremberg, the GIs would get a little rowdy, and I didn't have any problem.
You had to bounce the GIs. Yeah, that would be a little more difficult than your average bar of trying to get some in-shape Army guys out there.
Just imagine, I get them into that arm lock, and imagine you've just landed a 900-pound fish, and you're trying to struggle to get, here it is, here we go, I got you. But it works. And I never once punched somebody. I never did. I wrap them up and take them outside, but you didn't have to if you know what you're freaking doing. If you just want to be UFC guy, like, minor league hockey stands guy, that's what you want to do.
Roadhouse out there is the bounce.
Be nice. But even Swayze said that. Be nice. That's what you do. We all can learn from Patrick Swayze. All right. Speaking of learning from someone, we were running late here. Patrick Cooligan is one of our good friends from the Minnesota Reformer. You and he have a little chat, right?
Yeah, we do. We're talking about this new transaction that happened in northern Minnesota, with Minnesota Power being bought essentially by BlackRock, which is a large asset holder. So we're going to be talking about some conflicting constituencies on that, including Keith Ellison, who was very much against this merger, but there are some labor groups that were in favor. We'll talk more about that. Plus, Kayla Berg is running in CD2. We'll talk about her. Zach Stevenson is the new DFL leader in the House, so the Reformer conducted a Q&A with him. We'll talk about that, and plus how the shutdown is impacting us here in Minnesota. So that's all ahead here with Cooligan.
I'll see how much they like it when those prices go up. We'll find out more. It is Patrick Cooligan from the Minnesota Reformer with Brett right here on AM 950.
AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota. Brett Johnson with you here on a Tuesday afternoon. And as usual on these Tuesday afternoons, we are joined by the editor-in-chief of a great local publication here in the Twin Cities. That's the Minnesota Reformer, who follows closely what's happening in Minnesota news and politics as we talk through some of the stories they've been working on every Tuesday. What's on the docket today? Well, we're going to be talking about the sale of northern Minnesota's largest electric utility and the impacts of what that could mean. Plus, we'll talk about some politicians in Minnesota that are going to be in the news, including Minnesota State Representative Kayla Berg, who has thrown her hat into the ring to run for the open 2nd Congressional District seat. Plus, Michelle Griffith was able to conduct a Q&A with the new DFL House Leader, Zach Stevenson. We'll talk a bit about that. And if we have some time, we'll talk about how our state could be impacted by the ongoing federal government shutdown. So a lot to get to today. Patrick, thanks so much for coming back on the show.
Thank you. Good to be here.
As always, absolutely. So let's start talking about what's happening in northern Minnesota, because the sale of northern Minnesota's largest electric utility, Minnesota Power, has sparked intense debate over who should control the state's energy future. Regulators approved a $6.2 billion deal handing majority ownership to BlackRock, who is the world's largest asset manager, despite a lot of opposition from Attorney General Keith Ellison, as well as consumer advocates and climate groups who warn Wall Street's priorities may clash with Minnesota's clean energy and affordability goals that we have here in our state. So, as I said, BlackRock is a very big company, and they do have a mixed record when it comes to climate and their reputation for, well, largely chasing profits. What do you think ultimately swayed the Public Utilities Commission to give unanimous approval to this sale?
That's a good question for the PUC, but I'm sure that they felt some measure of, if not relief, then comfort from the fact that the Department of Commerce, that's in the Walz administration, crafted this deal with BlackRock to get some concessions for ratepayers. Now the question is, were those concessions were they substantial enough to make this deal a good one for those folks who are going to be paying the bills? And that's of course the ratepayers. Those concessions are $50 million in bill credits, $20 million in monthly bill discounts for low income people, and fines of $250,000 per violation. This has to do with the service standards and making sure that the power stays on, and then a cap on the Minnesota Power's profit margin. The thing about all of those, they sound good, and there's also a 1-year freeze on rates. They sound good, but that's a drop in the bucket when you're talking about what the company is going to make, and when you're talking about the largest asset manager in the world, and BlackRock is just this absolute blob of money, and you kind of get into a determination of because utility law and policy is so complicated. There's a certain amount of this that is simply a matter of trust, and apparently the PUC, all of them are Walz appointed, trusts that BlackRock will operate in the good interest, the public interest. And when I look at BlackRock, that's not. I don't see a company that has any interest in operating in Minnesota's interest or the ratepayers' interest. They have one goal, and that's to make money. So I think there's a lot of consternation about this decision.
Yeah, what I find so interesting about this is that on one hand, we do have some labor unions and also even some clean energy groups that largely supported the deal, even though many progressives, including, as I said, Attorney General Keith Ellison, were very much wary and against this deal. So how do you explain the split within these groups that are, well, usually aligned on environmental issues?
Yeah, definitely some DFL division here. There are some environmental groups that believe BlackRock will be investing in renewable technology that will help Minnesota Power meet the 2040 energy mandate. That is that half our electricity has to be decarbonized by 2040. But you've got other folks who said, and of course with that investment, you're talking about very often union jobs, so that explains the labor aspect of it. But on the other side, you've got folks who are much more skeptical of BlackRock and their intentions, and what they see is how this unfolds over the next decade, and whether or not they're actually going to put in, whether they're going to invest, as they say, and what the impact will be on ratepayers. The way that the utilities work is for-profit utilities work. They get a return on investment on their infrastructure. This is oversimplifying it, but they build infrastructure and then they get a return on investment. So there is an incentive there to overbuild, and that's what some of the consumer advocates are afraid of.
Well, you can read more about that deal, which again just went down over at minnesotareformer.com, as they did a great job reporting on some of the details of this deal that just went through with Minnesota Power, now essentially having a new holding company that is, of course, the large asset holder, BlackRock. Again, read more about that over at minnesotareformer.com. I want to switch gears now and talk a little bit about what's happening, at least over at the state legislature, because as you've probably heard, the DFLers now have a new leader. That's Zach Stevenson, who is taking over for the late Melissa Hortman, who was, of course, assassinated in a political shooting that took place earlier this summer. Now, Michelle was able to conduct that Q&A, and during that session with the Representative Zach Stevenson, it really highlighted the personal loss and political transition that DFLers are facing after Hortman's assassination. So how does he plan to guide House DFLers in, well, what's a tied legislature, and what do you think we can expect from his leadership style as he approaches now leading the DFL House?
Yeah, he's very much a continuity figure because he goes back with Hortman all the way back to 2004 when he was a teenager. He managed her first successful campaign after she'd lost twice. He describes this scene where he and some of his college buddies just approached her and said, well, you didn't have to pay us, but we just want the title. I want to be the campaign manager. We'll help you out. And she, at that point, had lost twice. She'd try anything, and they won. And she would become a mentor to him for the next 2 decades. And so I think you'll see a lot of continuity in how he leads the caucus. Obviously, he's learned a lot from her. He says he does have differences. He's more likely to delegate than Hortman, who had an inkling to do everything herself. But I have known now leader Stevenson for a while, and I can tell you that he has a very sharp political mind. He knows the districts cold. He knows their demographics, their economic profile, and so forth. So for now, he is managing the caucus during they have a power sharing agreement with the Republicans because they each have 67 members. But I'm sure that he is gaming out next November and making sure they have the pieces in place and the money there to come out, and he would be potentially the next speaker.
Yeah, and talking about the electoral implications of this, you kind of hit on this, that's a very similar style when it comes to campaigning that Melissa Hortman was known for, being very dialed into those individual districts and making sure they get the right candidates and the right messaging. Talk about that aspect a little bit, and whether when it comes to campaigning, is he going to maybe recommend that DFLers have an overarching message as they campaign for the House, or talk about how that might impact things here as they campaign to try to get the House majority back in 2026?
Well, remember, they're also going to be campaigning with the Senate, unlike last year. So the Senate will be up, and Governor Walz will be up for re-election. And then, of course, you're going to have an open U.S. Senate race. So the problem for when you're running the House effort is, how do you break through? And I think he's the way that one of Hortman's techniques was just flat out working doors, door knocking was really she thought as the most effective kind of campaigning. And I think you'll see that you'll see Zach continue that, and you'll see members who knock the most doors will get those coveted committee gavels when the time comes. So I think that's part of the House DFL culture that will stay.
Well, and speaking of the Minnesota DFL House, let's talk about another one of their representatives. And this is someone who is going to be seeking higher office. That's Minnesota Representative Kayla Berg, who is a DFLer from Burnsville. As she announced that she is going to be running for the open 2nd congressional seat, of course, at the federal level, with Angie Craig now running for U.S. Senate, has created that opening. She'll be running in a DFL primary with Minnesota State Senator Matt Klein, who's from Mendota Heights, and former DFL Senator Matt Little are among the DFL candidates, among others that are going to be running. At least on the Republican side, we have State Senator Eric Pratt from Prior Lake and Tyler Kistner, who is the 2020 and 2022 GOP nominee running in that seat. So a lot of people running for this race, but something really caught my eye about Kayla Berg, and that's the fact that, well, she's a single mom, a flight attendant, and a union activist. And the reason why this caught my eye was that in your write-up, you cited a 2024 study out of Duke and Loyola Chicago that found that less than 2% of lawmakers nationwide come from working class jobs, which is dwarfed by the 50% of the labor force that is in working class jobs. So certainly that might give her a selling point, at least for DFLers, as she tries to run for that nomination in what could end up being a very crowded field. How do you see this race shaping up now that Kayla Berg has thrown her name into the fray for that DFL nomination in CD2?
Yeah, I mean, I think her advantages, as you said, she's got a working class job. She's in a labor union, so that's a decent start. I think more importantly, she's the first woman to join this race, and I think that's an advantage in a Democratic primary, given the gender imbalance of the two parties. The women are the base of the Democratic Party, and as for now, you've got Representative Kayla Berg, and as they've become known, obviously the two Matts. So I would say the Berg's disadvantage is she is getting in a touch late, and so there's no money raised in the third quarter. She'll have to put up a really good number, I think, in the fourth quarter to prove that she's in it to win and is working hard to get the resources that you need to win what will probably be a primary, especially now that there's these three candidates. It seems less likely that one of them will be able to get the threshold for a convention endorsement. And so you go on to a primary, and the way you win a primary is really name recognition is going to have a lot to do with it. So the two Matts had bigger, Senate districts, so they're maybe a bit better known in their area. The rest is going to have to come from advertising for the most part, and so you're going to have to raise money to do that.
Remember back to the 2018 election cycle, I think Dean Phillips had thrown his hat into the race in CD3 like back in April of the prior year. So Kayla Berg maybe is getting her name in the ring a little bit late here in October, but still does have some time. But as you said, she is going to need to raise a significant amount of money in order to be competitive with some of the other candidates that are going to be running in CD2. Finally, one more story to talk about, and this, of course, kind of impacts everybody throughout the country, and that is the federal government shutdown. But specifically, I want to talk about how things could be impacted here in Minnesota, because Madison McVan over at The Reformer was able to do some investigating about how our state could be impacted. And it seems the short version of it, at least in the short term, we should probably be okay. But if this shutdown gets prolonged, a lot of our programs could end up getting impacted. So let's talk about how prepared is Minnesota to handle this prolonged federal government shutdown if it is prolonged, and which programs or stakeholders could particularly be hit hardest if this standoff really drags on for quite some time.
Yeah, so the state had a news conference last week saying that our accounts are fine for now, but there could be trouble, I think, if we got into November. And you certainly think of all the biggest programs where we're getting federal money would be Medicaid and food assistance and some of the other safety net programs. Then there's certainly grants that the White House actually rescinded some of them, energy grants last week. And so we could see more of that, especially as the Trump White House is clearly politicizing all these decisions, and they're going to try to create pain for blue states like ours, in order to get some leverage and sway a few more Democratic senators to give in. One thing that's interesting about the shutdown, because the Trump White House is such a constant source of chaos and news, somehow the shutdown, which in prior years, decades, has been the biggest story in America, seems to have almost receded into the background. And I'm not sure whose advantage that is. But for now, everybody seems pretty dug in.
Yeah, and just with the way the news cycles work nowadays, yeah, it's kind of unbelievable to think that a federal government shutdown could largely be working its way to the background of a news cycle. You can read more about that news conference that took place the other day, talking about how our state could be impacted by the government shutdown, as well as everything else that we talked about today over at MinnesotaReformer.com. Again, a great resource for the best in Minnesota news and politics. We have been speaking with the editor-in-chief of the Minnesota Reformer, that's Patrick Kulikan, who joins us every Tuesday to talk about some of the stories they've been working on. As always, thanks so much for coming back on the show today.
Always a pleasure.
All right, let's take a break and send things back over to Matt McNeil on AM 950.
Hey everyone, this is Ellie Krug. Join Twin Cities Quorum as they celebrate their 31st annual National Coming Out Day Luncheon. This inspirational and transformational event gives voice to the power of living openly, honestly, and with authenticity at work, in our families, in our faith communities, and across our lives. The National Coming Out Day Luncheon serves as a celebration of who we are individually and together. We hope you will join us as our community celebrates the strength, courage, and wisdom of LGBTQ plus and allied people who have braved their own unique journeys to now live openly and authentically and with pride. Reserve your tickets today for Friday, October 10th. This year's National Coming Out Day Luncheon will be at the Hyatt Regency, Minneapolis. The Marketplace Expo opens at 10 a.m. and the luncheon will begin at 11:45 a.m. Tickets are available to members for $70 or non-members for $90. Learn more and purchase your tickets in the events section at TwinCitiesQuorum.com on the events page. That's Twin Cities, QUORUM.com.
Hey, Francois, where are we going and why do you have so many canvas bags?
Salut, Laura. On y va chez Nicolette's Macarons.
Oh, I've never been to Nicolette's store. They're just off Highway 169 and 36th in Plymouth.
Oui, ils ont 16 saveurs de macarons là.
They have 16 flavors of macaroons at the store. That's why you have so many canvas bags. I love how Nicolette supports small food entrepreneurs. Let's hurry. They're open afternoons, Wednesday through Friday, and midday on Saturdays.
Nicolette, c'est génial. Allons-y.
Let's go.
Twin Cities Con returns to the Minneapolis Convention Center for their 5th year, November 7th through the 9th. Twin Cities Con is a celebration of comics, toys, TV, film, art, cosplay, games, and all things nerdy. There's nothing like Twin Cities Con. It's also a family-friendly event where you can meet your favorite celebrities, browse the vendor hall and artist alley for the coolest merch, watch celebrity Q&As, and even more. Twin Cities Con is bigger and better than before. Come see from the Star Wars universe Ahmad Best, Rosario Dawson and Giancarlo Esposito, Brendan Fraser, and the cast of The Mummy, WWE Wrestling Hall of Famers Sting and Mick Foley, and the voice actors from the hit Disney series Phineas and Ferb, plus more guests to be announced. 3 days of action-packed fun in the heart of Minneapolis at the Minneapolis Convention Center. Tickets start at $50. Kids' tickets are just $10 for the entire weekend. VIP tickets also available, including a 3-day weekend pass, plus some really cool VIP perks. More guests will be announced. Buy your tickets and get more information at TwinCitiesCon.com.
Hey, it's Tom. There's a war being waged on clean energy. A bill in Congress could eliminate the 30% federal tax credit for solar by the end of 2025. And once it's gone, it may never come back. Fossil fuel giants and their MAGA friends in Washington want to kill green energy. But you can fight back. Going solar with All Energy Solar isn't just smart, it's a form of resistance. You choose where your money goes, not to utility companies, not to fossil fuel billionaires, but toward clean, renewable power for your home. A system from All Energy Solar works in Minnesota year-round because it runs on sunlight, not heat. So even in the dead of winter, you're generating electricity. And All Energy Solar helps you save with every rebate and incentive available. This is the moment to act. Waiting means risking with this tax credit and giving the upper hand to MAGA Republicans. So get your free consultation today at allenergysolar.com and take back your power.
Your time is precious. Why are you still mowing your own lawn? I'm Alex Knorr, a young, hardworking entrepreneur serving the Southwest Metro with affordable lawn care. At Buzzcut Mowing, I offer weekly mowing, leaf cleanups, aeration, dethatching, tree trimming, and mulch installation. I work hard so you can relax and enjoy time with family and friends. Call today and I'll handle the rest. Visit buzzcutmowingmn.com. That's buzzcutmowingmn.com.
With your AM 950 weather, I'm Brett Johnson. Look for sunny skies today with a high near 64. Tonight, clear with a low around 39. And Wednesday, sunny with a high around 65. Crooners is your go-to classic supper club, offering world-class entertainment and 4-star dining. Catch top artists in the main stage showroom, Dunsmore Jazz Room, or outdoors at the Belvedere under the stars. Or stop by Maggie's Lounge where there's no cover and no reservations. Visit croonersmn.com for details.
Power Windows, and a good album, man. A lot of good songs on that one. 952-946-6205. It is the Matt McNeil Show. Yes, I'm still talking about Rush songs. Yes. Coming back on tour. Yes. I'm hoping I can get some tickets to Chicago, man. Although, if someone wants to take me to Mexico City, hola.
I mean, I'd be with you if I had my. Chicago's a great city, but going to Mexico City is.
Chicago just named Condé Nast, just made it the best tourism city in the country. You know, the war zone. Best tourism spot in the entire country, Chicago, Illinois. Beautiful. Love that town. It is fantastic over there. But Mexico City, can you imagine? Did you ever see what they did down in Brazil when they went down there for the first time? Unbelievable. They had never played there before. So everyone in the audience, like 100,000 Brazilians, were singing every song and jumping up and down the entire time.
Oh, see, now that's kind of cool. If you have 100,000 people that have never seen Rush in concert, or at least the vast majority of them, yeah.
Yeah, that's go see that. They put out a video of that one, a DVD live show of that one. All right, so 952-946-6205, 952-946-6205. We're going to take a little bit of a turn here, just a smidge of the turn for a segment called How Hitler Did It. Okay, I know. Yeah, it's like, the question is, how did a guy that basically became the power of the the Nazi party, how did they basically convince everyone in Germany to go along with what they were doing? Because at one point most of the people didn't agree with it, but eventually they kind of pushed their will onto everybody else. And, it was their great shame. I mean, they basically, as a country, engaged in a Holocaust and horrific bigotry and racism, which is just hard to fathom an entire country's population getting on board with this sort of thing. So how did they do it? Well, I have to point to a story today out of the Star Tribune, which is just disappointing. Now, I'm going to actually start with the final paragraph that I copied on this one. And you can kind of see where this is going. It's unclear how many transgender athletes play in Minnesota high schools. The state high school league does not require or keep records of transgender athletes in the state, citing data privacy laws. Illinois, a state with twice the population of Minnesota, has an estimated 25 total transgender athletes among 133,000 high school players, according to the Illinois High School Association. And you may not know, not every one of those 25 athletes is winning a state championship every year. That just does not happen. They just participate in the sports, and there you go. So if we are just go with the numbers here, this is at worst a problem in Minnesota for about 12 total transgender athletes who generally are not winning state championships constantly. I have talked often about how I am so disappointed in the Democratic Party for the way that we should have been more discriminatory towards the transgender population. The hell with you. You should not have. You should have stood up for human rights, and that's just that. The same political party that claims to be the one of brains. Well, there's enough studies out there that, if you want to go with the Republican idea, you have to believe a lie that we all know is a lie, that transgender people are just people who decided one day, nope, I don't want to do this, so I'm a dude that puts on a dress and I'm going to go play sports. That's their lie, and it is a lie. I have friends children who have gone through transgender, conversion, and they basically, it's a long-term, lots of psychological counseling. There are blockers that get involved. It is a long, drawn-out process, which is not, I'm going to put on a dress and go play sport. That's what bigots want you to believe it is, because that's the only way that bigots can win the argument, is if they convince enough people that the lie is the truth. How Hitler did it. You convince people a lie is the truth, and they will just go along with it, and that's the case. I can't help people who have basically the Republican Party, a political party that still doesn't want to pay women the same pay they pay men, all of a sudden is so concerned about women's sports. They don't. They recently said that we want to get rid of birth control, and you just need to keep an aspirin between your knees, and that way you won't get pregnant. These are the same people that now say they're the champion of women's rights. They don't want to pay you, and black women get paid a heck of a lot less. The Republicans can't stand women. There's a misogyny that is intertwined in that party right now. And it's bizarre to watch female Republicans champion the Republican policies. It is bizarre. So do not come to me and say, we're the party of women's rights. No, they're the party of bigotry and hate. End of story. That's just reality. So they make up these lies against transgender athletes. They throw a baseball 220 miles per hour. Well, the Twins could use that pitcher if they've got them. My goodness. Well, when I said 220, I said it's 42 miles an hour, and basically it's not even in the top 500 of pitchers thrown in baseball. But you get my point. No, I don't. It's just you're making up lies to try to justify your bigotry. This isn't a problem. It isn't a major thing. It's like the state flag. Tell me where the flag touched you. Ooh. The Republican Party does not care about women's rights because they don't even want you to get paid the same amount of money as a man. End of story. So anything else that you have to say about we're protecting women, no, you're not. Not in the least bit. You were the guys that basically fought against Title IX in the first place. But all of a sudden, you can use it now to be bigots against transgender people. You love to run with that. Shame on you. That's why this is depressing. A group of school board members from more than 40 districts have signed a letter urging Minnesota officials to comply with federal policy that would block transgender students from competing in girls' sports. The letter is mostly identical to what was approved by the Forest Lake School Board on Thursday. Last week, the U.S. Department of Education said Minnesota policies on transgender athletes violate Title IX, the federal law prohibiting gender discrimination in education programs by allowing transgender students to participate in girls' sports. Officials warn that Minnesota risks losing federal education funding if the State Department of Education and the Minnesota State High School League don't change their policies within 10 days. A release from the U.S. Department of Education dated September 30th, meaning the state needs to respond by Friday. As recipients of federal financial assistance, failure to correct these violations directly threatens our schools' ability to serve our students and communities, according to the letter signed. So what they're saying is this: yep, discriminate against transgender people. We're fine with the bigotry. We're going to go with it. That's okay. As a matter of fact, what we are seeing is how Hitler did it. Because basically you have people who are like, I'm not against discrimination, but I'm all on board for discriminating this time. This is on you. This is not me. This is on you guys. You're giving, I guess all you school boards are giving your students a classic example of how exactly the Nazis got the population to go along with their hate regime. And the next step is, well, let's just round up the transgender people just for their own safety. Oh, and then we're going to ship them down the railway line down to some place. They're going to be happy and safe. They'll be fine. And then you find out, oh, well, here's all these people that have been murdered by the Trump administration. And this is like, yeah, it goes horribly wrong. I don't even want to take one step down that hypothetical line. I don't want to take one step down that hypothetical line. Human beings are human freaking beings. How hard is this? I wasn't exactly the science whiz, but human beings are human beings. And if we start treating some human beings as second-tier class of human beings, guess what? So stop with this, it's a dude in a dress. Stop believing the lies of the Republican Party that they care for women when they won't even pay you the same fair rate as the other people. And don't go down the line that the Nazis did, which is to basically blackmail people into feeling like, well, I mean, I'm not against discrimination, but I guess I'm going to go along with the discrimination. That's how Hitler did it. And we're getting another prime example of it. It is sad to see in a time and a day and age when we need people to stand up for decency, how much they are failing us pathetically. 952-946-6205. Hey, did you hear that my accidental Freudian slip about I said Trump instead of Hitler? My bad. Oopsie. Like I said, I don't want to go down this hypothetical line. And the fact that now these school boards are basically carrying the water for the Trump administration's campaign of bigotry and hate, well, screw you, if I can be so bold. I'm not going to be on the side of that. It'll be fun for you to try to explain that to future generations. Oh, well, that's not what we really meant. Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. Maybe you could ask those Republicans or your buddies if they're going to pay women the same amount as they pay men. Nope, they have no intention of changing that. Yeah, okay, good enough then. All right. 952-946-6205, 952-946-6205. Take a break, come back. It is the Matt McNeil Show here on your Tuesday.
Hi, I'm Scott Shambot from Shambot Family Dentistry. We're the fear-free, shame-free dental office. We know dental anxiety and dental phobia are real. We'll take the time to get to know you and give you what you need to be comfortable at all times. We offer free nitrous oxide laughing gas and have high-tech options to help you feel calm and relaxed during your appointments. We'll help you get through every appointment in the most pain-free way possible. If you're having a dental emergency, we'll try and get you in the same day you call because we don't like to see anyone in pain. As my daughter Rachel says,
if you don't see my dad, please see another dentist. Take care of your teeth because they're the only ones you get.
This is Chad, owner of AM 950. I've been going to Shambot Family Dentistry for years. They get me in last minute when I'm in pain and make regular checkups easy and comfortable.
Shambot Family Dentistry in Hopkins and St. Paul. Find them online at ShambotFamilyDentistry.com or call 1-800-FIX-MY-TEETH.
There really is no place like home. Hi, I'm Mary T. of Mary T. Home Health. When you're faced with an illness or an injury, being able to stay at home and receive care is important. Our home health offers a wide range of services, including skilled nursing, physical, occupational, and speech therapies, aides, homemakers, in-home respite care, and 24/7 live-in care. We'll work closely with your primary care provider to come up with an individualized plan for you. Learn more today at marytinc.com.
Hi, this is Frank Brown of Minuteman Press Uptown with a question for our listeners. How important are business values to you? When you need high-quality digital print, it matters who you work with. You see, Minuteman Uptown is unique. We're one of the only union print shops in Minnesota providing our team with living wages and benefits. We believe in second chances for justice-impacted individuals who want to contribute to the community, and we are active in local issues. We've been in the streets standing up for racial, social, and economic justice. At Minuteman Uptown, our mission is to connect all communities through technology-driven print solutions. An example of that mission is when I moved Minuteman Uptown to North Minneapolis. We're invested in this local community, and we help small businesses and local organizations throughout the Twin Cities reach their audiences. Reach out to Minuteman Uptown and partner with a printer that shares your values. Call us today at 612-870-0777 or visit us at mpuptown.com. That's mpuptown.com.
AM 950, the Progressive Voice of Minnesota, the Matt McNeil Show. No, I would love to have these school boards, if there are transgender students in their school, I would love to have them go down to them saying, we're here to try to create a safe environment for you, but not too safe. You're not going to have the same rights as everybody else, but just, Donald Trump threatened us. It's a shame. Once again, another case. And can I just say this? If a Democratic president was trying to force an agenda on these same exact school districts, they would probably be the ones saying, we are going to fight this until the end. We're just not going to, we don't care if it's threatening our budget. We don't feel as like the federal government should be telling us what to do. That's exactly how Hitler did it. We're not going to allow those Democrats to do that to us. Republicans do it. Well, guys, I guess we just have to basically, maybe we should separate the transgender kids into their own school and put them in their own, and maybe have them wear something on their clothing that tells us they're the trans, maybe a large T or something like that. And then so we know exactly who they are within the community. Yeah, no, I don't have much patience for you guys. Nope, not at all. Final note here, and I just want to make sure I mention this before we get too far into the week. State Senator Jim Carlson, who we have interviewed here, I think, twice on this show, he announced on Monday that he will retire at the end of his current term. Carlson has served Senate District 52, which includes Eagan, Burnsville, Mendota Heights, and Mendota. After the first being elected in 2006, for nearly 2 decades, I've had the opportunity to work with so many important issues and work with so many great people, both in my district and the state capitol, whose priority has been to make life better for Minnesotans, said Carlson. In a statement, it is gratifying to know that the work I have contributed to has helped solve problems for people across the state and will do so for generations. It's been an honor to serve, but it's now time for me to pass the torch. During his time in office, Carlson chaired the Elections Committee and served on the Judiciary and Public Safety Committee, the State and Local Government and Veterans Committee, and the Transportation Committee. He noted over the course of his 5 terms, he's played a key role in passing several public safety measures like increasing penalties for distracted driving, passing the hands-free cell phone bill, and required child safety seats in cars. That tells you how far back he goes. My goodness. Furthermore, he was involved in passing legislation that aims to expand and protect voting access. The Senator, from the bottom of our hearts, from everyone here at AM 950, I want to thank you because you have been a pretty good senator and you've done a lot of good things. But I also want to make sure I thank you for the important part, what you just did, which is you basically walked away from your job. You served, for 20 years. At the end of it, it's 5 terms, and you basically have made the decision that you've done enough and you're going to move on. And yeah, I think that is fantastic. And that is he's not the only one. There have been others, politicians who have been basically in their seats for a long time. I think the Democrats are starting to realize that having people and a lack of turnover in a lot of these political positions is not good. I think we need to have more turnover. I think that you shouldn't have somebody in office for 45 years where basically someone from the baby boomers is making decisions for millennials. I mean, I don't know if that is necessarily someone who's aware of the situation at that point. So turnover is good. And State Senator Jim Carlson, nicely done. And thank you for your service, sir. I appreciate all you have done. And if you want to do a farewell, sure, let's have him back on the air. We'll have him back on before his term ends. Native Roots Radio is coming on up here. I should mention Dr. Stately and also Bob Blake are going to be joining him tonight Native Roots Radio is coming up next. Of course, also Greg Bakken later on tonight at 10. Till tomorrow, see ya.
Hey, it's Patrick for Zero Res. October is here, so Halloween is right around the corner. And if you're thinking of having a horror movie marathon with friends, you better make sure your home doesn't look like something out of one of those movies. Don't ghost your carpet this fall. My cleaning heroes at Zero Res can help get all those spooky smells and creepy stains out of your home. Carpet, tile, rugs, upholstery, hardwood, any surface in your home can be Zero Resified. Right now, you can get your entire home Zero Resified from Minnesota's ultimate carpet cleaner with 3 rooms of carpet clean starting at just $129. But there's something even scarier than ghosts and goblins hiding in your home, and it's in your air ducts. This month, take 15%